Hi everybody, this is Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and today I'm going to show you the easiest, fastest, most delicious homemade bread, well, ever. Yep, that's right, I said easiest, fastest, and most delicious bread ever. This bread is super delicious. I can't say it enough. It is so easy. Basically you mix it in a bowl or a container like this, and that's it. And then when you want to bake it, you just pull out a big lump, you roll it into a ball, let it rise for a little bit, and then throw it in the oven. Super easy, super delicious, and super fast. So here's what we're going to do. I will show you the ingredients and then we'll get to it. Salt, yeast, flour, and water. That's it. So we're going to use 2 tablespoons of salt, 2 tablespoons of yeast, 8 cups of flour, and 4 cups of water. That's as easy as it's gonna get right now. Here we go. Okay, so now for what to mix it in and to store it in, you can use whatever you have, a plastic bowl, glass bowl, anything that has a lid on it. I guess you could use plastic wrap, as long as it doesn't get, nicked in the refrigerator and let air in there, because that air will dry out the top of your dough and you'll just have to pick that part off. But side note, I've used bowls like this that have a pretty big lid to cover them up. I use these because they take up less square footage in the refrigerator. They work really they work really well. These are great too. These have there's bigger ones that I've gotten, so those work really well because they take up less space, and they've got a nice sealing top on top. So we're gonna go ahead and mix this up. It's super easy. It takes only a few minutes, and I'll just show you how we do this. So we've got our salt. So we're gonna go ahead and start with the salt and the yeast first. 2 tablespoons of salt. And yes, I put the salt and the yeast in the bowl at the same time, and mix in the water. People are saying, well, wait, you can't do that. You can. I do it all the time. Whenever I make this bread, this is how I do it. So 2 tablespoons of salt. Now, if you guys are trying to cut back on salt, you're more than welcome to do that. We are using a Himalayan sea salt, which is a lot less salty than your regular table salt. So if you want to use less, you don't want to use any salt at all, that's fine. It's added flavor. I mean, we've made bread without salt and it honestly doesn't taste very good. So here's our 2 tablespoons of dry active yeast or active dry yeast, whichever order it goes in. And then our water. I forgot a spoon. Give me a second. Couldn't find my spoon, so we'll use our Dutch whisk. Now we've got 4 cups of warm water, not super hot. You don't want super hot water because it will kill the yeast. It will not activate it. You can use colder water if you'd like, because this is going to sit and rise for a long time, so it really doesn't matter. We're gonna go ahead and use 4 cups of warm water. Just give this a good stir to dissolve the salt and get that yeast going. We don't need to add sugar to this. That's the beauty part of this recipe. There is no added sugar. I know the flour does make sugars. I do understand that part, but there is no added extra sugar like white sugar or honey. But the yeast still works. It still is eating what the flour is providing. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and add our flour. We're gonna go ahead and add it all at once. We don't need to add just a little bit and mix it in. We just gonna add all 8 cups of flour at once. I would, however, recommend that you would fluff up the flour, and that way it's not such a heavy cup of flour. So we're gonna go ahead and add all 8 cups. So I need to count these because I do have a terrible memory. 2, 3, 4, 5. Grew up with Sesame Street. 6. Not a fan of it now. 7 and 8. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and, you know, I'm not even gonna mess with this. I'm gonna go ahead and just dive in with my hands. Well, hand, I should say. I only mix with one hand. I tend to, it's easier for me to just go ahead and mix with my hands. As my mother-in-law has said for many years, God gave you these first. So let's go ahead and dive right in. And yep, we get messy, and that's okay. And this will be a very sticky dough. We're not going to add any more flour to this, and we're not going to do any kneading or anything like that. We are just mixing this together so there are no dry patches in this bowl or bucket or whichever you are deciding to use. The main thing is we got to make sure that there are no dry patches in the bowl, in the dough. You don't want to have any dry pockets of flour in there. You want it to be all wet. There we go. There. See? It's a very messy dough. I'm going to go ahead and scrape this off with a spatula, and we'll be right back. All right, so now this is done. This is all we're going to do to it for now. We're going to go ahead and leave this on the counter for 2 hours. Well, put a top on it, of course. We're going to leave this on the counter for 2 hours, and then we're going to put it in the refrigerator overnight before we bake anything. Now, you could bake with this, but it doesn't bake right. Trust me. It doesn't rise very well. It needs that time to get that flavor going. Leave this in the fridge for a couple of days, no longer than 2 weeks. But this amount of dough is going to make 4 1-pound loaves, not 4 4-pound loaves, 4 1-pound loaves, sorry. And so you can spread it out over that, week to 2 week period. You could even use this for making pizza dough. That's actually what we're gonna do tonight. Even though we have a really good pizza dough recipe, that's beside the point. So you put this in the refrigerator and don't mess with it today. After the 2 hours, I should say. 2 hours on the counter, then stick it in the refrigerator, leave it overnight, 2 days. The flavor that's going to be going on in that bucket in that bowl is just gonna be phenomenal. So it's well worth the wait. So I'm gonna set this off to the side. I've already got a bucket that was started a couple of days ago. Actually made this recipe on Wednesday, and today is Friday, so it's been in there for 2 days. I actually made the video on Wednesday, and it was just I wasn't happy with it. So I was like, I'm gonna do this again, because this is the world of high production, not production, high quality acting. No, not really. Just anyway. So I've got this. It's been sitting in the refrigerator for 2 days, and I just took it out of the fridge right before I started filming, and I wanted to show you what it looked like. I did take out some of the dough. This bucket rises all the way up to the top. This will hold 21 cups of flour, water, whatever. It holds 21 cups. The dough, same recipe, filled this bucket all the way to the top. It's amazing. Sometimes if it's, super happy, it will push the top off and have a little bit of dry crusties on there. Just pick those off, no problem. But look at the bubbles going on in there. That looks and smells ridiculous. Oh, it's got that yeasty smell. I cannot wait to make this bread. So we're gonna go ahead and put this one on the counter over there, and we'll show you how to take care of this one. All right, so we've got our dough here. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle a little bit of flour on top. Actually, I'm gonna take off my jewelry and my watch because I don't like getting flour all over everything. Stick that in my pocket. So we're gonna sprinkle some flour on top because as you can see, it's super sticky on top. So just a little bit, not a lot, just so that your hands don't completely get covered, which they will a little bit. We're gonna put a little bit of flour on the counter here. Now for this, I've been making this bread for 10 years, so I kind of know after doing this for so long, I don't have to measure it. I know about how much weighs about a pound. So I'm not the type of person that has to weigh everything out exactly. If it's a good guess, that's fine with me. So I'm just gonna scrape down the sides with my hand just a little bit and then pull out a big heaping chunk like so. And then just kind of pinch it off like that. And then set it down on the table there. Set that off to the side. And all I'm gonna do is just flip this over just so that it's completely covered in flour and then just roll it into a dough. Not into a dough, it's already dough. I'm gonna roll it into a ball. And there's ways that you can do this professionally. I don't do it that way. I just make sure my hands have enough flour and I just give it a good tuck underneath like so. I hope you can see that. Nice little tuck there. And then just so that it has a nice smooth top. A little sticky in some spots. A little extra flour is not gonna hurt anything. Now, if your dough is not able to hold together like this, then you didn't add the right amount of flour in the beginning, and you'll need to add a little bit more to get it to hold together and hold its shape. See how it's kind of holding its shape? Not kind of, it is holding its shape. So I'm just gonna keep doing this till the top is nice and smooth. There are a few bubbles in there, but that's really okay. I'll just pop those. And just keep going just like so. So it's nice and smooth like that. The bottom's gonna be crinkly, but that's okay, it's gonna rise. So you can see that? That's really okay. As long as you're not like overworking the dough, it's totally fine. Give it a good cover there with a little bit more flour. All right, now that's done. That looks really, really good. I usually don't work with it this much. I usually just, make it smooth on top and then put it on the parchment paper. So I do have a sheet of parchment paper and I have it on a pizza peel like this. If you have a pizza peel, that's great. If you don't, use the back side. My awesome, this thing's probably 15 years old. Cookie sheet, you just put it on the back side. That way you can slide it into the oven. But I happen to have a pizza peel. So it's upside down. I'm kind of weird about that. So just put my parchment paper there. Roll this again so it's nice. And just like that, it'll look awesome. And then just set that right there on there. You can make as many of these as you want. If you make the whole bucket, well, of course it's your bucket. You can do whatever you want with it, right? It's easy to do, just use a bigger piece of parchment. It is a little trickier to put 4 loaves in the oven at the same time, but with some practice, you're able to do that pretty easily. I used to do that. I used to make 4 loaves every Sunday morning for the visitors at our church. And when not all of the loaves were claimed by new visitors, there would be people waiting outside the office waiting for the extra loaves. They would not really fight over them, but they would fight over them. It was quite fun. So we're gonna leave this. I am going to cover it with a piece of plastic just so that it doesn't dry out on the top. I'm not going to spray it with anything. I'm just going to lay a piece of plastic over the top of it. There's enough flour that it shouldn't stick to it, but you never know. It might. So we'll be back in a little bit. We're going to actually let this rise for about 30 minutes. And while it's rising, I'm gonna go ahead and turn the oven on to 450 degrees and let that oven heat up. And there's a pizza stone inside there. There's also an old cake pan that I have that I use just for this. We're gonna pour some water in it when we put the bread in the oven, and it's gonna create a steam bath or steam, kind of like a hot sauna, or sauna if you live around central Wisconsin. And it's gonna make the crust really, really nice, so. All right, so we've waited our time, and we're ready to top this bread and get this sucker into the oven. Can't wait. Kids are chomping at the bit, and so is Brad, and he's walking up right now.
Hi.
Little stinker. Ah, you just bumped the camera.
Don't bump the camera.
You just ruined my shot, man.
You know how I feel now. Only for years, baby. I'll tell you what, though. Nice little setup there.
Yeah, I like it. I really like it.
I do. We got the
cheapo lights.
Cheapo lights.
Battery operated cheapo lights, and I've got a tiny little tripod. You could probably, you guys who are watching the bread video will have to go and watch the vlog to see my setup. So
I think the vlog is happening first.
The vlog is happening first. So if you haven't seen it, go back and watch it.
Why are you looking there?
Because I'm looking here.
Are you going to put that in the bread
I'm
video?
going to put it in the bread video. Why not?
Well, I better get out of here.
We're not, it's not Hollywood. Thank goodness.
There we go. Hi. We'll see you guys later.
Yeah.
Get back.
Bye.
I can't wait for the bread.
Yeah, you have to go so that I can make the bread.
Love you, baby.
Love you. Okay, so now that we've been not really, this is our life. And you know what? You guys are seeing our real life because that's who we are. This is us. So I'm gonna go ahead and top this bread with an egg. Well, not just the egg. I'm not gonna put it on top. That would be silly. I'm gonna use an egg wash. So crack the egg into a bowl, and then we're gonna add about a tablespoon, if I can. These shells are so hard. These are farm fresh eggs. A tablespoon of water in there, and we'll just mix this up. And Brutus, he's waiting. He's waiting for the egg. So just mix this up really well. And then we'll use a pastry brush to put the egg wash on top. Take our plastic off, so gently, because we don't want to pull it or deflate it in any way. So we're gonna take our pastry brush, and we'll go ahead and move that out of the way. And just top this, just so gently. And the reason for the egg wash is so that our topping will stick. If you don't want to use a topping, that's okay. You can still do the egg wash. You can also just use an oil if you want. The egg wash just makes it a really beautiful golden color. So get that all the way around the edges. And then you can use sesame seeds. You can use poppy seeds. You can do nothing. Our favorite is the everything bagel seasoning. It's got all of it. Seasoning, it's got all of the garlic and onion and poppy seeds and sesame seeds. So we're gonna go ahead and put this on there. This has 2 different shaker sizes, which we're gonna use the bigger one. But before I do that, I forgot. I need to slice the bread on top, otherwise it will blow out and look all funky and silly. And so this is an awesome tool that I got not too long ago. It's actually really inexpensive, but it's called a lame. It's for slicing the top of bread. It's basically just a very sharp razor blade. So we're gonna go ahead and just give it a good slice down the top. And then I just kind of do a little bit of little circles there. You can do whatever you'd like. And then we'll go ahead and put our topping on. This allows it to rise and not crack out one side. I've actually had that happen. It's really kind of annoying. So, because it doesn't make a very pretty bread. Oop. Went a little crazy there. Probably should have opened up the other side. So, put all these little pieces down towards the side. We don't want to lose out on those. Now, this is ready to go. Our oven has been heating up. It has our pizza stone and our cake pan in it. The oven is heated to 450 degrees. The stone is nice and hot. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get a cup of water, about 1 cup of water, and we're gonna put it in the cake pan as we put in the bread. So, be right back. All right, so very carefully, we're gonna go ahead and open up this oven. It is very hot, it's 450 degrees, so be very careful. So we're gonna open this up. We're gonna take the pizza peel and go ahead and slide the dough in. Sorry, Brad's not here. I can't show you me sliding this in here. Just gonna slide that in there on the stone. I'm gonna pull the tray out so that I can pour the water into the cake pan. And that way then it will create steam in the oven. Oh, it's hot. It will create steam in the oven, which will make an amazing crust on top of that bread. So now, sorry for the pause, forgot what I needed to tell you. We're gonna bake this for 30 minutes at 450 degrees Fahrenheit. How is that for timing? Before I pull that out though, I wanna show you this dough here. Check this out, look how big that is. And I've actually taken some of it out to put in some individual containers for pizza dough. So let's go ahead and get this out of the way. Actually, I'm gonna move it over here. That way it's not in the camera shot. I don't know if it is or not, but go ahead and get this out of the oven because it smells so good in the house. Oh my gosh. Guys, you gotta see this. Check this out. Look at that. Does that not look absolutely delicious? Can't wait to eat it. Here, I'm gonna go ahead and, without dumping this on the counter, I'm gonna go ahead and give a thumbnail for Brad. There we go. But yeah, this is, listen to that. Nice crust on there. Oof. We're not gonna mess with this right now. I know it's really, really hard because the kids are right on the other side of the camera and they are chomping at the bit, wanting to get into this bread. But I'm gonna put it on a cooling rack because it's too hot to cut as it came out of a 450 degree oven. And if you cut it now, you can cut it now, but it will be too doughy. It's because it's too hot. The crumb on the inside is just not, it'll get smooth, it'll smash. It's not good. You gotta let this cool. I don't wanna let this cool, but I'm gonna let it cool for just a little while and then I'll show you what it's supposed to look like in a little bit. All right, folks, I've waited long enough. I'm not waiting any longer. I'm gonna slice this thing because it's ridiculous. I can touch it now. I can pick it up and hold it. Look at that. Looks so good. So good. All right, we're just gonna, you can slice this any way you want. You could tear it if you want. Look at how squishy that is though. Yeah, you can tear into it, you can cut it, you can slice, you do whatever you want with it. This is great bread for soup bowls, like if you want to do bread, soup in a bowl, or bread bowls, I should say. What am I talking about? Or you can use it for dipping oils. I don't want to cut too far on the cooling rack and mess up my knife. But look at that, guys. Doesn't that look delicious? Show you up close. Look at that. You can still see it steaming. So good. So, let's taste. Brutus isn't here. Shocking, because usually when there's food around, Brutus is around. Crunchy on the outside, soft and chewy on the inside. So much flavor going on in there. Sorry. Yeasty flavor going because we let it sit for a couple of days in the refrigerator, which those flavors just intensify the longer you let it sit in there. It's just so good. Super easy, super fast, super delicious. And let me tell you, this whole bucket of bread or bowl of bread, whatever you make it in, costs less than $2 for 4 1-pound loaves. So if you guys like to buy the bread from the store, the artisan bread, the real fancy bread, well, this is the recipe that you would use so that you can save loads of money, because those loaves of bread are $4 to $8 a loaf. This is $2 for 4 loaves, and it's better. It makes the house smell amazing. Everybody loves fresh bread. So try it for your family, see what you like, or see if you like it. If you do, leave a comment in the description box below. Let me know how it went. And if you guys have been making this since we made the video, I think 6, 7, 8 years ago. I don't even remember when we made the video. And that was a lot stranger of a video because I didn't talk much on those videos, and now I can talk all by myself. I can do this. I can do this. So those of you who are wanting to start a YouTube channel and say, I don't know if I can do it, you can. It just takes time and patience, and you can get there. So again, I hope you like the video. If you do, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe. Truly helps our family out, and share it as often as you can. That would be great. I'm Christa with the Big Family Homestead, and you have a blessed and amazing day.